Welcome to this week's edition of the 76 Report. I'm here, Trish Regan, with my colleague Rob Hordon, co-founder of 76research.com. What did we tell you? We told you it was going to be okay. I think the markets are up like 10% or something on the S&P since this all unfolded. And we're actually, if you ask me, Rob, in a much better position because we've basically helped cement the US of A as the hegemonic power around the world. What do we have? We've got the UAE coming to Uncle Sam, and I know some people are like, oh, no, we shouldn't give them a thing. You got a very wealthy country, right, that really doesn't need the money but wants to make sure that if it does, it's going to get backstopped by the US of A. So they've asked for basically a credit swap window to say, hey, you know what? Like if push comes to shove and we need dollars, will you give it to us? And we said, yes, we'll step up. And hey, this is great. This is great because this is telling the rest of the world, you know what? Forget about the renminbi, the yuan. China, your currency is out. They've been dying to have everybody trade in yuan, but we are the world's, the place where you go when push comes to shove. And we just learned today that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is looking at opening up various credit windows for not just the UAE, but a lot of the Gulf countries, a lot of the Asian countries. And again, I get back to the reliance on the almighty dollar means that the U.S. is going to continue to stay in charge of the world, which is good for markets.
Yeah. Well, let's just take a step back. So here we are. I mean, we've been speaking over the last few weeks. It was a very volatile stretch from the entire month of March. Markets bottomed on March 30th. We're now sitting here. The S&P's up about 10%. The NASDAQ's up about 15%. We've been talking about it, that investors, should hold the line and would be rewarded for enduring the volatility. And they have. Markets are back to all-time highs. And I think now it's, with this action that we're seeing on the economic front in the Middle East, and the extension of potential swap lines to countries like UAE, we can really turn our attention now to the future of the Middle East and where this is all headed, and really kind of it's starting to come into view now that the war in Iran gets kind of mopped up and perhaps it's not totally resolved, but starts to move into the rearview mirror. We can start thinking about what is the future of the Middle East and what is America's role in the Middle East. And I think Bessent's on the move here, talking about, this is an opportunity to really solidify our alliances with those key energy countries.
Let me read for the viewers the tweet that he sent out just a short time ago. Discussions with countries, including our Gulf and Asian allies, about U.S. dollar swap lines are part of ongoing routine conversations that U.S. Treasury has been having with our partners over a number of years. They are a testament to the U.S. dollar's primacy and the strength. Many of these countries have pristine sovereign balance sheets and large dollar holdings, larger than many of the major economies with whom we maintain permanent swap facilities. I think that's a little bit of a dig at NATO. I applaud our allies' foresight and watchful risk management by exploring additional financial buffers during periods of market quiescence. Extending permanent swap lines can be a major first step in creating new U.S. dollar funding centers in the Gulf and Asia. Dollar dominance and reserve currency status are strengthened by constant long-term initiatives, including countering the growth of problematic alternative payment systems. Okay, explain what that means, because I heard both a dig on NATO, and I also heard we're going to get ahead of anybody worried about Bitcoin becoming the alternative payment system, because guess what? Fundamentally, if they're all on the hook for dollars, they're on the hook for dollars. The world is trading in dollars, which cements the US of A as being in charge, and that carries with it a whole host of other great things like low interest rates, right? Because, we can take their money, we can lend to them, they have to pay us back. And that comes with a whole host of other benefits.
I think the thing to focus on is, some of the critics have been calling this a bailout. This isn't a bailout. This is an extension of liquidity. So it's not a solvency problem. It's a potential liquidity problem for some of these Arab states that were Gulf states that were affected by the events over the past 30, 45 days. And his point was, we do have these permanent lines of credit and swap arrangements with countries like Canada and some of the other NATO European countries, the more established Western countries. The idea here is that we're going to kind of expand that circle and use our balance sheet to solidify our economic relationship with our key allies in these critical regions, and the ones who've actually proven to be our key allies over the last month and a half.
I think a lot of people will take issue with, okay, well, why would our key ally be the UAE? I think that, if you're looking at this as Treasury Secretary, you want to have sort of dominance, if you would, in the Middle East, because they've got a lot of energy. We got a lot of energy too, right? In Venezuela that we just got a hold of. They have a lot of energy too. Canada has it as well. So the Western Hemisphere is well situated, but nonetheless, 20% of the world's supply does go through the Strait of Hormuz. It's a critical area. You want to have dominance over there. If it's not us, it's going to be China. So those who control energy are controlling a lot of AI productivity for the future. And so this makes sense from sort of an overall economic grand plan. If you want the U.S. on top, you're going to have that presence in the Middle East. And thus, UAE, Kuwait, they may be a heck of a lot more valuable to us right now than, say, some of these relationships we have with France and Spain, who's on the outs right now, and Italy.
Yeah, I mean, what's more strategic? Countries like UAE that have some of the largest oil and gas deposits in the world and reserves in the world, or European countries who don't necessarily have any significant natural resources and are proving not to be very, very helpful military allies as we've pursued our.
And if you're thinking like a business person, right, you're trying to shore up the world here. You're trying to make sure you get your customers effectively, as well as your suppliers, all in good spots. And Europe has been, like, I keep using the bratty little kid, right? I mean, they've just been kind of a disaster. We are getting word that Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner are going to be going to Pakistan for new talks with the Iranian foreign minister this weekend. This is according to the White House, this just coming in. So, there's a lot of pressure being put